Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Anim Ali, licensed mental health therapist, and a whole lot of things. But today I want to give you 6 tips in terms of opening a private practice. I get a lot of questions about folks who are interested in jumping into private practice and kind of wanting to know how to better prepare. And I want to help you make that a lot easier because obviously, unfortunately, our grad schools don't discuss this at all, or maybe a little bit, and way just not enough. So the first thing that you want to do is, I think, in order to really be successful, you need to niche down. And I think the beauty in that we already have experience in working with different populations and clientele. Like for example, many of you, like myself, would have had experience working in community mental health agencies, and within community mental health agencies we know firsthand that we get exposed to all types of clients, right? Regardless of the diagnosis, regardless of the circumstances, you kind of get thrown that everything gets thrown at you. And so the good thing in that is that you have experience kind of working with all clientels and populations, and then from that you learn where your strengths really lie or where your passions really lie, right? And that's really how you develop a niche um, in your, in terms of like who your ideal population is, right? And who you really enjoy working with. Like, what population do you feel like you're really good at this? Like, you feel empowered, your clients feel empowered. Like, it's a symbiotic relationship, right? You guys are really working together really well. And so I think niching down in that respect, not only is it just, certain types of people, but what diagnoses do you want to support, or what type of diagnosis do you feel most confident about? And I think that's going to be helpful in terms of like building out your marketing plan in the future as it relates to marketing your private practice and your business, because that marketing and that niche go hand in hand, right? Because to be an effective marketer, to have an effective marketing plan or marketing strategy, you need to know who you're marketing to. And that is going to be defined by your niche. So you want to make sure you figure out who that is, what that is. If you need to do additional trainings, that's cool. If you want to add some things along the way as you continue to develop and define yourself as a therapist and figure out more and more what you're interested in. And your interests can change, but for the most part, you need to know how you are going to start and who are you going to start with. So we have to niche down. That's the most important thing. And also, you want to make sure you kind of ask yourself or go through the thought process around what's a realistic time frame for your launch, right? Part of having a solid marketing plan is having a timeline, right? Are you saying 6 months out? Are you saying 1 year out? Are you just early on in your, just kind of doing research phase of this? And that's okay too. But understand that you need a marketing plan. Some people may go as far as like building out a business plan, and that can be helpful. You don't absolutely have to do it, but it can be helpful in terms of like funding, because some funding sources may require you to have a business plan prepared for them because they want to see like what's your plan? What do you plan to do with all this money, right? Because it is a loan, which gets me to my next point. The funding part. It can be tricky, it can be expensive, but there is a way to do it in a cost reductive way and still be as impactful as a therapist. And so you have to ask yourself then, right? Are you going to have a physical location, or are you going to do telehealth? Right now we're in a world of all telehealth where all of us, we do work online, we see clients online, and that is great. But for some populations, they really thrive best, like younger kids, maybe folks with like psychotic disorders. They may do a lot better in person than online. So those are some of the factors that you want to consider. And again, as you begin to identify your niche, you're going to consider all these factors, right? For your clientele and your population, that's going to be super helpful for you to understand that. So the next thing, which is number 3 at this point, you really, really have to consider legal and administrative foundation, right? In some states, therapists have to form a corporation. So you want to know what your state says about licensed mental health professionals and how you have to structure your business. And so that is an important factor. You want to make sure you structure your business correctly for your state guidelines. And even if you decide to operate within other states, right? You hold multiple licenses like I do. what are the necessary criteria for that, right? In those states that you want to get additional licenses for, do you have to file taxes in them? And that is all going to matter because at the end of the year, when tax season comes, you don't want to be overwhelmed or, you know, taken aback or caught by surprise, rather. Then you want to obtain the necessary licenses for the states that you want to operate in, right? I operate in 6 states, so I hold licenses and do the renewals, the CEUs. I keep track of all those things. How I keep track of all those things, honestly, mostly it's just memory, and mostly I plaster all my licenses in my office. That way, it's like a constant reminder when it's time to renew. And then you want to get your professional liability license. And depending on the size of your practice, are you doing a solo practice? Are you doing an individual practice? Are you doing a subspecialty practice? That's going to determine how much of the liability insurance policy that you need to buy. Usually it's like 1 million to 3 million. And then you also want to set up your tax ID, and you can get that for free through the irs.gov. You do not need to pay for that in your business checking account because you want to keep your business finance separate from your personal finance. And based on how you structure your business, you might be paying yourself, you might be taking an owner's withdrawal. You can get into that with your accountant because I'm not an accountant. I actually pay an accountant. Then number 4 is then building your client base, right? We talked about niching down. Niching down helps us understand how we're going to develop our marketing to attract our client base. And so we have to develop a referral system, right? Are you going to work with local therapists? Are you going to get on a therapist Facebook group? Are you going to get on a therapist LinkedIn group? Are you going to make social media content to connect with people? And the more defined you are in your niche, you're going to understand the messaging. You're going to understand their pain points. You're going to understand what they're struggling with, and you can make content around that. And I guarantee you, your clientele, your client base will find you that way. You can also network with in-person professional communities, right? That's a great way for therapists to exchange clients. Networking with local physicians, dentists, even OBGYNs, right? They have clients who are struggling with their mental health and they might be aligned with you as a provider. And so that is a great referral source that you can connect with. The local judges, courts often have mandated clients, and so you can become an automatic referral for those individuals. Also, like considering like offering workshops and speaking events as additional stream of income through your private practice. And you can do that through local agencies within your community. You can do that again with the doctor's office, like build those relationships. Relationships are so important because they can serve as a referral source and also opportunities for growth, or opportunities to explore different avenues or different ventures within your business. And then finally, I think we're at number 6, right? Figure out your day-to-day operations. Establish clear boundaries about working hours. There, it can be so easy, as you know, in this field, to have a 12-hour day, seeing 15 clients or whatever have you. And so you need to define clear boundaries because you can get just as easily burnt out in private practice as you can in community health. You want to create efficient systems like scheduling, billing, record keeping. Most states require you to hold records for 7 years, I think it is, right? Are you going to use an EHR? Are you going to use Simple Practice? Are you going to use whatever the other ones are out there? Determine what works for you, what works within your budget, and kind of build from there. I think Simple Practice is probably the most efficient one out there. That's me personally, but people have other biases towards other EHRs. And so there's just so many out there. You can test trial them at this point. A lot of them will walk you through and let you get a free week time and just decide what you want to do. You want to make sure you factor in and plan for continuing education requirements, especially for my multi-license holders, right? You got to stay on top of maintaining that license, and part of maintaining that license is to continue doing CEUs, educations, trainings, and things like that. Also, building time for business development. Like, do you need a coach? Do you need somebody to help you take you to the next level? As therapists, we don't necessarily get business training, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean you can't continue investing in yourself, investing in your business, and investing in growth. And so, understanding when you might need extra help. And sometimes that means tapping into the local SBA communities or local Chamber of Commerce for business support and business understanding. That's a great opportunity to get free or really reduced help in your community for business support. And then also just make time to network get your name out there. I always say, like, people think just because we're therapists, people are inherently going to jump on us and know about us and want to utilize our services. People need to know who you are. So figure out what that needs to look like. Does that mean you need to make videos like this? Does that mean you need to be on TikTok? Does that mean you need to get people to subscribe to an email list and you're sending out, newsletters every month to people that are valuable to them, valuable to your population, your niche group? You can get creative around it. And so those are my 6 tips in terms of launching your private practice. Let me know what questions you have below. And also make sure you are subscribed and share this with anybody that you know that's starting off or considering private practice and needs more support.